I thought I would address a subject that I've casually mentioned in the past in relations to various stories and experiences in my life, but I fully believe in, for lack of a better term, guardian angels, those divine, intelligent beings that are looking after us. Obviously, some of our guardian angels are working much harder than others, and mine have been taxed fully, but I'm not unaware of their presence when I need them. And I just want to throw a few short little stories, and you could get some deeper uh, storytelling on this if you go to my YouTube channel. And some of these I got a special, 5 or 10 minutes just devoted to each one. But basically, when I was about 4 years old, and we lived in Oregon in this, we moved into these homes. They were ex federal property that was boarded up after the war. Uh, Military had been living in them with their families, and the war was over. They boarded them up, and the city government was going to condemn these this little housing area of triplexes. I think there were like three in a group, and they were going to tear it down and build something. And so the city was set to go on that, and we were basically homeless, our family, and we had no place to go. We've been staying in hotels, motels, uh, trying to get financially on our feet. It was in the town of Coos Bay, North Bend, right around there. And so we moved into there, took the boards off the buildings, and we moved in and became a national news item. Actually, it was on the Walter Winchell show. It talked about how we stood up to the local government and everything. And when we were successful, all these other families moved in. There must have been at least 30 of them, and the whole thing was full of people. Anyway, setting the stage. Um, for some reason at that age, I believed that I could walk through fire and on fire, and not thinking hot coals is a different thing than walking through a blaze of fire. And they were burning garbage in this housing tract in the middle of these things. There was no fences for backyards. It was just a big open area. And the people would take their trash and put it in there and burn it because we didn't have garbage pickup because we were all illegally occupying these houses. So I'm out there with all these other little kids, and we're standing around the fire, and I'm looking at this fire, and the flames are up 2, 3 feet, burning all this stuff. And for whatever reason, I saw myself as able to walk through that fire. It's like, I've done this, I can do this. So, ignoring the obvious dangers, I started walking through with my tennis shoes, made out of like rubber, uh, my pants and my shirt, all flammable material, and I just start walking slowly through this garbage fire. And they were like, the flames were like right up to my neck. I mean, they were just coming up, and of course, I immediately caught on fire. My pants were on fire. My shirt was on fire. Uh, and I go running out of the fire, and I am a ball of fire. I'm running through this little housing area, and the faster I run, the more it's stoking the fires. The fires are getting bigger. I'm a fireball. And out of nowhere, a woman I never saw before, never saw afterwards, nobody knew who she was. But this lady comes running out of nowhere and tackles me, throws me in the dirt, rolls me around, uses her hands, everything to pat the fire out, and her hands were all sooty and burnt from doing that. And I was burnt all over, really bad on the leg, but scalded, red looking everywhere else, and my clothes were all tattered, from being burnt. And she had tears in her eyes, and she picked me up so gentle. And then she took me to my house and gave me to my mother. And I often wondered all these years, where did this lady come from? Had she not been there, I would have ran around because my friends weren't, they didn't know what to do. They just saw me running around. I would have eventually been totally disfigured, dead. There was no one else to come rescue me. So that got me to thinking, well, how'd this lady just show up? Many, many more instances in my life where I've had this divine intervention. And when I was young, I was hitchhiking right after high school. I went to the South Pacific. I came back. I was going to take a trip to Europe, hitchhiking from San Francisco to New York, and I was really, really tired. I've been hitchhiking for days. And I get a ride with this guy about midnight right outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. And he says, "Can you drive?" And I go, "Well, I got a driver's license," but I was so tired, I wanted to go to sleep. And this guy wanted me to drive the car. And so I started driving, and I go to sleep driving his automobile. And the last time I looked, it was like the speedometer was like 100 miles an hour, maybe a little over. And I'm going straight into a forest, this little forest pack of trees that's right off the highway. And I'm spinning around in this car. It's turning several different directions. And I'm watching this blaze of trees and stuff go on, and dust in the air. And finally, it comes to a stop. And the guy actually wakes up and looks at me, and I look at it, and all around us are trees, front of us, back of us. It took us mere second or two to spit into this little forest, but getting out was so complicated, backing up and being directed and watching and make sure the fenders. It took us like 20 minutes to back out of there. There's no way in the world that guided missile of a car going over 100 miles an hour, flinging around and twisting and turning, how it missed every tree. It didn't hit a branch. And so I looked at that at the time, and I'm going, wow. And the guy that owned the car looked at me like he couldn't understand why we weren't killed. I couldn't understand why we weren't damaged. But then we were. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Is somebody did somebody do something to prevent that? Then I went on to Europe, and I ran out of money. I was hitchhiking around Europe, and I was in Paris. I ran out of money, and as soon as I ran out of money, people started taking care of me and feeding me and giving me transportation and all kinds of beautiful things had, because I had great faith that my guardian angels would take care of me, and they did. And this persisted all the way into the years I was in Vietnam, fighting in a war. Many, many, many stories on where I should have been killed, where bullets went around me, missed me. And there was one particular story where we were flying around a helicopter, and pilots were so busy looking for where they were going in the mission that they forgot to be watching the gas gauge. It's all fog below us, and then there's a jungle. And we're up there flying over looking for where we're supposed to go. And all of a sudden we hear this sound. This little alarm goes off saying that you're running out of fuel. You're out of fuel. And we didn't know. We got 5 minutes, we got 10 minutes, we got 15. We had no idea. So the fuel light starts flashing and this alarm goes off. And all I could do is I just cried out to God, protect us, take care of us. Because we're going to run out of fuel, and we didn't know what was below us. Good guys, bad guys, jungles. And when the helicopter just kind of jumps right down to where you run out of, where the blade stops rotating, you go straight down. And then just before the last whispers of the engines still turning, all of a sudden the clouds below us open up, and we see an opening in the jungle, what we call like a landing zone. In other words, a little clearing between the jungle, open, where there's grass. And we're right over the top of it, about 150 feet. And we just ran out of fuel, and we just auto rotate down, and we're landed on the thing, and then the engine stops. The blades are still slowly going. And I look around at the fog that's still hanging around down there, and we see troops coming at us with rifles from all directions. We didn't know if they were good guys or bad guys. It turns out they happen to be American troops. So you talk about being taken care of. But I had a lot of things like that happen in Vietnam. Many, many, many stories. but it's just ingrained in me, this super belief that when you reach out through prayers, through devotion, the grace of the great ones come and take care of you. And just even little things, doesn't have to be something really super. But I can remember just a few years ago when a friend was visiting me from Europe, and I'm taking him out hiking on a trail. We left and it was starting to get dark, and there was nobody else in this, national park, and we were wandering around, and we were lost, and it was going to get dark. We had no flashlights, we had nothing with us. We didn't know where we were at, and I said a prayer. God, quietly. I don't want my friend to know I didn't know where I was going. I knew somebody had to be there to take care of us, and we all of a sudden this woman hiker comes, and she's the only person we saw in this park the whole time we were there, and she just rounded a corner going towards us, and I humbly asked if we could follow her as we were lost. And we ended up finding the car, and everything was good, but it was like the odds on that was like impossible, but it happened. So my whole life has been like that. It's just been one thing after another. One unusual event happened where I had a witness to it when I was working for the Postal Service, and we were in Modesto, California, and we were driving down the road, and I'm a passenger and the other guy's driving, and we come to an intersection, and we're going about 35, 40 miles an hour, and coming the other direction is a large Winnebago RV, big one. I don't know how many feet that is, but big. And we could see the driver, and for some reason he thought he had the right to turn in front of us, and he turns this RV right in front of us, and we're about 10, 15 feet from the passenger door going 40 miles an hour. And we see this guy looking at us, and his eyes are, like he knows he's going to get crashed into. And then there was no crash. It was like we found ourselves across the intersection. We looked across the street, and we found him parked on the other side of the street. We drove over and talked to him because we wanted to know if he saw what we saw, and he confirmed it. He thought he was going to get broadsided by us, and that nothing happened. There wasn't a scratch on either vehicle, but we were just feet from his door from hitting the RV. And it was like we were transposition. I don't know what the word is, but we were not hitting each other. We were both transported to the opposite sides of the street immediately. Spook. So my friend I'm not a great believer in these things, but he was speechless. He didn't know what to say and do. But that's a guardian angel. I'm pointing this out because people believe in demons and the devil and all this other stuff. And I'm telling you that there's a balance to these things. And if you want your guardian angel to help you, you have to listen. You have to be available. And surrender. Sometimes just surrendering to the situation. But there is someone's, or somebody or something that's out there looking after you. Your job is just to tune in with that. And also realize that we can be used as guardian angels for others. So the idea, if you feel something in your heart and you reach out and you help somebody, you do something, you are in effect an earth angel. You're working in the capacity of being somebody's guardian angel, even if it's something minor. So make yourself available to help and to become that angel. Make yourself aware that these angelic entities, the presence, these masters, these ascended beings, these angels, whatever you call them, they're there to love you. I'll leave you with one story. I was working as an usher at this meditation group in Sacramento. And we had this homeless guy come in and trying to steal something from the church. I stopped him when he was coming out, and his eyes got really just terrible looking, like a devil. I mean, it was just, and he reaches down. He was like 6'5", 6'6". He was a big guy, several hundred, a couple hundred and some pounds plus. And, I was like 5'6" and, 145, 150 pounds. And he reaches down, he grabs me by the neck and he holds me up in the air. My feet are off the ground. And he's got this metal cane in his hand. He was walking with a cane. And he holds this cane up and he's going to smash my skull and telling me that, he just said vile things. He was shouting and going crazy. He's getting ready to whack me. And I'm just calmly there, surrendering to my guardian angels. And pretty soon he drops me down. He screams, he yells, and he runs out of the building screaming that to stop these giants that were I had a giant guy behind me protecting me, and that's what he saw. And he wanted me to make sure this guy was going to leave him alone, and he's screaming down the street, leave me alone, leave me alone. He saw this giant presence behind me when he was just getting ready to whack me on the head. So story after story after story of my life, that's not important. What is important for you to realize that there are stories left to be written in your life. Pay attention. The divine presence is there. It just needs your surrender, your loving energy, your willingness to listen and to believe and to accept. Divine intervention comes. Divine grace happens. Guardian angels are real. Demons and devils, that negative power is also real. But darkness never wins against the light. So just thought I'd give that to you. But remember, you have your chance to help and to do something. Then you are obligated to become a guardian angel. Take care of those around you, whether it's your family, your friends, a stranger, a homeless person, doesn't matter. We're all working together. It's all the same team. Blessings and peace and love. Thank you.